and I am standing up here in hopes of becoming your Fusion Secretary next year. The first time I ever heard of Fusion was during our Alianza NSO, where I first met my mentor, Haley. Ever since my first meeting, I've just been drawn to the positive energy and the comforting atmosphere of Fusion. So much so that I decided to dedicate most of my Wednesdays to our general meetings, and I have personally seen Fusion grow and seen myself grow within Fusion. From being a food class intern in SNS board to being the co-publicity director for Motherboard, I have learned so much. As publicity director, I serve as secretary's board buddy, and I've been able to work with Karen throughout the year. Being able to experience firsthand the results of her hard work every week with prep board notes, prepared calendars, and weekly emails, I have so much respect for her role as secretary because she always makes sure that everyone is on track and she never fails to offer her help whenever needed, and I wish to be able to provide that support to everyone next year. I also want to speak on my experience as my church's administrative assistant and my church's pastoral search committee secretary. I was responsible for updating our directory with our members, dealing with incoming and outgoing emails, and sending out weekly emails. I also took minutes of our meetings and organized the information and logistics behind our committee and our nominations. These roles allowed me to gain the necessary experience that relate to secretary's responsibilities. Then, if I were given the pleasure of serving you all as secretary next year, I plan to implement harder deadlines and to provide more check-ins and reminders for our board members to ensure that everything gets done on time. This will help to streamline the process of planning meetings and to avoid any last-minute conflicts and changes for our board members, which will help to ease the stress of planning events. And for our general members, I wish to provide you all with a better experience of well-planned out events. I also have a few ideas for fostering more connections and new friendships within Fusion, like creating an Instagram directory for Fusion members or adding a small affirmation section in the email. I also want to give our general members the chance to suggest their own peers for our weekly spotlights. So with that being said, as secretary, I hope to bring together the Fusion community and to provide the necessary support to all of our board members to ensure the smooth running of each and every one of our events. Thank you for your time, and thank you, Fusion, for an amazing 2 years. I hope you will consider me as your next secretary. Stated in my platform, I said that I wanted to implement harder deadlines to basically give our board members more reminders throughout the week of what events they have to hold. So regarding general meetings, I would like to implement a system where I am able to remind our hosts of when they should start planning, and I would like to communicate with them to make sure they're doing well, ask how they're doing, and maybe within a week of their planning, I would ask how they're doing if they have started planning. Because as a board member, I have experienced a lot of stress from last-minute planning because our board members can really get busy. So in order to mitigate that and help reduce stress for organizing general meetings, I hope to provide our board members with more recurrent reminders of how they should be doing in preparation for their board meetings, or general meetings.
Next question is, Secretary has multiple deadlines each week that they plan for. Do you have any organizational methods that you use to ensure that you can make all of those deadlines?
I do. I use Notion. I am a Notion girl because I put everything in Notion. Every single start of the quarter, I go on Notion, I look up every single syllabus on Canvas, and I make a thorough to-do list with every assignment, every midterm, every exam, so that I know what to prepare for and what to prepare for. With these skills, I believe that I was able to implement those skills as secretary with my position as well.
Next question is, as someone who is planning on attending med school, how
Fusion and a pre-med student for almost 2 years now. I believe I have been able to develop strong skills in order to manage my time and organize everything I have to work on. Throughout those 2 years, I have learned the skills to balance my time and work with the time I have through time blocking and through my to-do list to make sure that I get everything done on time and within my capacity. I have stretched my limits multiple times throughout my life. I always test myself to the best of my abilities, and I believe that I know my limits, and I know that I will be able to handle the role of secretary along with everything else, because I know my limits, and if I do get a little stressed out, I know how to deal with it because I've been dealing with it since high school.
Next question is, Secretary is the board buddy for publicity and media. Based on your experience with publicity, what relationship or role should Secretary play with these positions, and how do you plan to support them?
As the board buddy for publicity and media, I plan to create constant communication between my board buddies to ensure that they are doing okay in their positions, which is what Karen does for me and Izzy at the moment. Karen is always communicating with us and making sure that everything is getting done on time and that everything is going okay with us, and I want to further that relationship with possible, if I were to become secretary, with the possible publicity or media directors next quarter as well.
Next question is, what pillars do you plan to uplift as an executive board member next year?
As an executive board member and serving as secretary, as I mentioned before, I wanted to create somewhat of an online directory on Instagram for Fusion to basically highlight each of our general members, with approval, of course, and the affirmations within the email would help support our support pillar and the professional pillar as well with the directory by making the connections with everyone. For cultural, academics, or science and engineering, those can all be implemented within the email within small little sections of fun facts maybe or opportunities that highlight each of our pillars.
Last question for the sake of time is, would you rather film one thirst trap or park your car in the worst APS spot for the rest of the day?
If my car has cameras, I would just park in the spot.
Yeah.